All right, we're back, and as we go live to tape, we're about 90 minutes away from the broadcast on Intercom Communications, News Radio 1020 KDK, along with CBS Radio News. President Donald Trump and the State of the Union address. Listen, because Ted Arnaud and I are all about economic fiscal stability, and I love what I'm seeing happening with this president right now economically. I thought I would keep Ted for one more brief video just to get his thoughts on the State of the Union address. Now, President usually uses, Ted, the State of the Union as a platform to stress togetherness, to reach across the partisan divides, and to market potential priorities while still focusing on their administration's accomplishments. We know Donald Trump isn't always what you would say presidential, but they say that the president will use his address to assert his cuts in taxes and regulations and how it really has unleashed a new era of economic prosperity. You think that will be his message tonight? I'm hoping, Ted.
Well, I think that'll be his message. He'll talk about security, which has been one of his main themes from when he ran in the election. I think he's going to talk about infrastructure funding and the fact of its ability to add to the economic growth. I think he's going to talk about the strength of Wall Street, even though they had a dip today. It's been remarkably strong since he's been president. But I think he's going to tout all of that, and I think he's going to try and reach out and talk about immigration in a way that would be bipartisan. But you have to wonder whether that's even possible with the Congress the way it is. But I think he's going to do his very best, and I'm sure it's going to be scripted. I think he'll stay with the script. But the key will be what he does the next 2 days in response to the Democratic response to his speech. So that'll be the interesting part to watch.
Yeah, Joe Kennedy III, by the way, will be doing that. He's a state representative. He also, talking about immigration, as you said, he might take that chance, Ted, to sell his plans to shield from deportation, undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. as children in return for massive funding for his border wall. The president also expected to push for his infrastructure plan, one initiative that might win some Democrat support. You think he'll get any support, even if he does push for, a way to help those immigrants, those children brought to the U.S. in return for money for the border wall? You think he'll get support for that, Ted?
No.
I agree.
I think the Democrats need that as a campaign issue, and I think they're going to try and keep that alive because it does resonate with Americans. Americans are very just and forgiving and welcoming people, and they, for the most part, if you take a poll, most Americans want that solved. But if they can pin that it's the Republicans and Trump that haven't been able to solve it, which, you can debate that from now until the cows come home. I think they want to keep that alive. I think that's a red hot poker for them, and I think they want to keep that.
What about rebuilding the U.S. military and restoring an American posture, as the president calls it, peace through strength? Patriotism still a big ticket in our country today?
I think it is, but I think what's happened in our country, we have such a disparity as to those people who have served in the military. It used to be you could go through the ranks of Congress and probably more than half of them had some military service. Now I think it's down to 25% or less, and it's because of the absence of the draft and the fact that a lot of Americans go out and do not enter the service. So I think obviously it's something that I think we should be pushing, but it's going to, when you get into the dollar debate, it's going to be tough. But obviously we're spread out all over the world. We've got to figure out how to resolve that in a way that our troops have the very best training and equipment possible.
All right, in closing, Ted Arnaud talking about State of the Union address coming up tonight, a little after 9, CBS Radio News, and of course, Intercom Communication News Radio 1020 KDK. Now look, he's got a 40% approval rating, which is not that good, and obviously coming up to a critical point, the Russian investigation with the Robert Mueller team, and also the recent news of the shutdown. As short as it was, a lot of bad blood between Democrats and Republicans, the government shutdown. How do you think he gets around all of that, and is the best way staying away from all of that?
Yeah, I would not go into the shutdown. He may not be able to help himself because he dealt himself a pretty good winning hand on that one. but you don't want to be spiking the football, as we know. It's not that time because you got another shutdown potential looming within about the next 10 days.
February
So
8th.
he'd be best if he stays away from that.
Ted, always a pleasure. Listen, we'll catch up to you later this week. Enjoy your night,
Got it,
okay?
Robbie. All right, thank you.
Good night, everybody.